My in-laws tried to steal my unborn baby, so I made sure they never knew her name. 6 weeks after my husband Alex died, I found out I was pregnant. It was our little secret, something sweet and scary and new. So when I showed up at Sunday dinner with his parents, Margaret and Harold, I brought the news like a peace offering. I'm pregnant, I said. But the room didn't erupt into hugs or tears. Instead, Margaret said, this could be the solution to Vanessa's problem. I thought I misheard that and let it go. The next morning, I woke up to what felt like a pre-written script. Margaret had decided that my pregnancy was the answer to Vanessa's years-long IVF struggles. She called it a miracle, not for me, but for Vanessa. Suddenly, the baby I hadn't even met yet was no longer mine. It was theirs. I told them no. I said this baby was Alex's and mine. He would never have wanted this, but they brushed me off, insisting I was too fragile, too deep in grief to think clearly. Margaret said I had no family, that I'd be alone, so they were doing me a favor. Vanessa cried through lunch at a fancy cafe, sobbing about how she already loved the baby like her own. She showed me pictures of a nursery. The crib had a nameplate. The name wasn't one Alex and I ever talked about. Then came the money. Harold sat me down and offered to wipe out my student loans, and he'd buy me a home near campus if I did the right thing. Vanessa's husband, Curtis, wasn't subtle. He dropped off a legal agreement with glossy folders and highlighted sections, like it was a business pitch. The next time I mentioned my OB appointment, I discovered Vanessa had tried to get herself listed as a co-parent. That's when Dr. Morrison stepped in. She flagged it, pulled me aside, and just said, I've seen this before. She gave me numbers, groups, and real help. My friend Diana helped me set up boundaries and start documenting everything, so my in-laws ramped it up. Aunts, cousins, even people I barely knew started messaging me about my beautiful decision. I'd tell them it wasn't happening, and they'd say I was just scared. Diana found Alex's journal buried in a box in the back of the closet. Page after page was filled with baby name ideas, little sketches, and fears he never said out loud. One line stopped me cold. I don't trust my family to respect our boundaries. That cracked something open in me. I wasn't imagining it. He knew. A few days later, Thomas, Alex's estranged brother, called. He said he couldn't stay silent anymore. Vanessa and Curtis were planning a birth announcement with their names on it. That's when I cut them all off, blocked every number. But they weren't finished. They invited me to one last dinner, saying it was for closure. Instead, I walked into a room with a therapist, a slideshow, and a lawyer. Curtis held a thick file like leverage, full of screenshots, clips, and twisted narratives. They were trying to prove I was unfit. I didn't raise my voice. I opened Alex's journal and read his words aloud. I don't trust my family. The silence was immediate. Margaret looked like she'd been slapped. Vanessa broke down. The lawyer closed the folder. I left without another word. Now I'm in a new apartment Diana helped me find. I have a lawyer, a therapist, and a community of women who've walked this path. When my daughter was born, I named her Hope, because she was mine.